Hello again! In this lesson you'll learn how to make a colorful shadow transition, which is quite popular among video star edits. Without further ado, let's get right into it. I have both parts of the transition here, one after another. Go to Transform and search for the Deluxe Sketch effect so the background can have a little bit of a cartoon vibe. Place the background first and make it black and white. Turn the opacity down a bit for it to be darker. Add a blue color layer to layer 2 and use Blend Background to blend it for a bluish tint. Turn the opacity down so the blue isn't as noticeable. Then, place a particle layer with shining stars that turn from white to blue. On the next layer, use a person mask. Feel free to check out the previous lesson to revise what you learned about masking. It looks nice, but I'll fix some details manually. Before working on the transition, change the anchor's position as you don't want the picture to rotate from here, but here. The easiest way to place the picture in its original position is showing all the layers and turning this layer's opacity down. Remember to do this on the first frame, otherwise you'll create keyframes, which will make opacity and path change during the clip. We don't want that. Create the transition in the last 10 frames, so place a keyframe for both rotation and path 10 frames before the scene ends. Then, set the rotation to 8 to the right at the end. Move the picture down until you get rid of the gap and move it a bit to the right as well. Use the same graph for both of these parameters, one that starts low and ends fast. Copy layer 4 into the next two layers, including its keyframes. Layer 6 is the one that is closer to the foreground, so layers 4 and 5 will be the colorful shadows. Layer 5 is the one closer to our person mask. You need to copy this keyframe about 2 frames farther, like this. Let's show our person mask to see what's going on. It looks like layer 5 follows layer 6, but for it to be more noticeable, change rotation to 6 here. For the second shadow, it's better to duplicate keyframes from the first shadow and repeat the same process. Use the blob fuzzy effect for the shadows. Select a dark blue color for layer 5 and a light blue one for layer 4. Last but not least, duplicate the person mask and use the Hollow Fuzz 2 effect on it to add a neon outline to the person. It's quite similar for layer 2. Place the cartoon-like background, make it black and white and darker. The color layer will be pink this time. Blend it in and lower its opacity. Then, place some particles in the next layer, but change the final color to pink. This time the person mask should rotate from left to the center. Don't forget to change the anchor point's position first and relocate the picture after that. Place a keyframe for path and rotation in the 10th frame. This is where the transition is going to end. Set the rotation to 8 in the first keyframe and get rid of the gap by moving the picture down and a bit to the left. The graphs to use should start fast and end slow. Copy this layer and its keyframes in the next 2 layers. Continue with the shadow in layer 5. You need to duplicate the last keyframe 2 keyframes farther and add the graphs again. If you show the person mask in layer 6, you'll see that the shadow kind of follows it. Change the rotation to 12 at the beginning to see the shadow better. Copy the keyframes of layer 5 into layer 4 and follow the same steps to create the other shadow. Select a dark pink color for the first shadow and a lighter pink color for the second one. Add the white neon outline as well. This is what we've got so far. I like using custom coloring to make the colors look more even. Check out the colorings I used in the contents of the lesson. Do you remember the first lesson of this course? In that one, you learned how to make transition smoother by using turbulence. And now we are going to put that into practice. But if you can't remember that lesson very well, I'd suggest checking it out. After finishing doing that, add some panning and video star motion blur to the transition. Following these last steps, this is what we've got. Do you notice the difference between this transition that has no custom coloring, turbulence, panning or video star motion blur, and this other one that has all of that? There are many other ways you can do a colorful shadow transition, like sliding the person instead of rotating it, maybe. Feel free to experiment with shadows and show me what kind of transitions you come up with, or recreate the one that I've made. Either way, use our hashtag if you post your video on Instagram and TikTok so I can find it. See you in the last lesson of the course.